Today we're talking about the recruitment exercise. That's the 774,000 recruitment exercise. Reasons for the call. First of all, why does the government want to recruit or employ, so to speak, 774,000 youths, unemployed youths? And then we want to also know why the National Assembly suspended this exercise. Nigerians have been calling, they've been asking, because this particular program is a program that tells them whatever happens within the polity, most especially issues within the National Assembly. We well know that within the week, the Senate and the House of Representatives on Wednesday urged President Muhammadu Buhari to suspend the implementation of the plan to recruit 774,000 Nigerians for special public works across the country. And Elvis, we all know that the position of both chambers of the National Assembly followed a sharp disagreement between the National Assembly and the Joint Committee on Labor, Employment and Productivity, and the Minister for State for Labor and Employment, that is talking about Festus Keyamo San, over the modalities for appointing the 20-member selection committee for the program. Keyamo, who had appeared at an interactive session organized by the Joint Committee, opposed the resolution of the Joint Committee to resolve into a closed-door session. The minister said he rejected the lawmakers' decision to quiz him behind closed doors because of the need to ensure transparency and accountability, which, well, Nigerians feel it's okay for him to say so. However, the Senate had on Wednesday held an executive session apparently to deliberate on the fiasco between the minister and the lawmakers. It was learned that during the closed session, which lasted for about 2 hours, the lawmakers expressed shock at the behavior of Festus Keyamo and his insistence that the National Assembly cannot direct him on what to do concerning the recruitment. The chairman Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Senator Dr. Bashiru Ajibola, and his House of Representatives counterpart, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, in a statement, insisted that the implementation of the program must be put on hold until its modalities are explained to the National Assembly. Well, it is a super-packed Thursday, and it is at this juncture that I would have loved to say let's go on a short break, but we won't go on a short break at this moment, because right now in the studio we have the anchor man himself. He's here to tell us, and the listener out there also wants to hear. We have a senior citizen, a man who is well abreast with the workings of the National Assembly, and he has been in politics from way back. He has even been an Attorney General of his state. It's interesting, and we are happy to see him here talking about Senator Dr. Sarah Judin. Senator Dr. Sarah Judin Ajibola Bashiru. He's the chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning. Happy to be here, but I think it's very important to make certain important clarifications from your intro, because it may create a very wrong impression. I will say that I don't know where you got your report of what transpired at the executive session of the Senate, but I will say that Festus Keyamo was not discussed at our executive session. He's an appointee of the president, and we are also elected like the president. If you have any issue to raise, we'll raise it rather with the president, commander-in-chief, not with an appointee who does not enjoy the mandate of Nigerian people as we have done. So I think that's a very wrong impression. With respect to his office, it's so insignificant for us, while on legislator to be discussing an individual who is an appointee of Mr. President. The secondly, too, we did not take umbrage about him, and so we did not discuss. But if you ask me, I will tell you that governance is not a political activism. Governance involves sense of responsibility and adherence to procedure. For if you see a lot of lack of knowledge pervades when it comes to the work of the legislators. To say that during closed session is not acceptable. With respect, I don't want to join issue with him. Even executive session is a closed session. Every organization have a way of interfacing without having under not necessarily under the public glare to clarify certain issues which may border either on security or sensitive issue. For him to say that he cannot approve. If I were the chairman of the committee, I will tell you, the committee will just work out on him, because the rules of the Senate allow it to regulate its own procedure. You cannot come to the Senate and you be the one to dictate my procedure. But that's another thing entirely. I think it would be beneath me to be joining issues with an appointee who apparently thought, because he's a senior advocate of Nigeria, did not even study the procedure of the Senate or the House that he has become from. Is everybody at the challenge have access to proceedings of the executive council? At the Federal Council meet under glare of camera unless the president, who is charged, decide to do so. So I won't want to go into that. Yes. But more fundamentally, I also need to make a clarification. We are not saying the 774,000 recruitment will not go on, and we could not have said so, because we are part and parcel of the conception, adoption and appropriation of funds for it, and that was very clear in the statement that we issued yesterday. But of course, with respect, some people believe that in an atmosphere of a seeming conflict is when their business would thrive. So in the context of what we are saying is this: first and foremost, we must clarify one point. We are not just appointed. We are not appointee. Were elected by our respective constituencies. 109 in relation to the senators, 360 in relation to the House of Rep. Then, as I told you, we are part of conception, and the reason for this 774,000 is to stimulate the economy and get some funds available for public works, while also allowing us to be able to start to escape from the trap of unemployment. So the National Assembly is well neck deep into this project, and of course it will go ahead, but it will go ahead in an atmosphere of transparency, an atmosphere of general consensus among the levels of government. There is this misconception as to even what's the role of the national legislator, and of course you may be educated, you may be a lawyer, you may be whatever, you may not even understand. We have oversight function. To the extent that the Nigerian money is going to be used for a project, we have the right to investigate that the money is actually used to achieve desired end. We cannot allow a skilled recruitment process that is not all inclusive to even jeopardize the well intention of Mr. President and the National Assembly, and that is the bone of contention. If you are talking about recruitment, those that will be recruited, are they not our constituents? But if you want to recruit them, let us also know what modality. How do you come up with the process of recruitment? When we go to our constituency, and we go to our constituency, when we are asked, how did this thing come about, we'll be able to explain. But you cannot ask those that appropriate money, those that approve the project, that they cannot even understand and know the modality. So what the issue in contention is not suspension of the program, but we want the process to be transparent and explain the modalities to the National Assembly. And I think it's a legitimate right under our oversight function to be able to know that whatever Nigerian money is to be used for, we must be able to know the accountability and the transparency of the process.
Thank you very much, distinguished. Actually, our listener out there, and from the text messages we have received, many people felt angered. And you know, whatever the National Assembly does, there's this reaction it gets from the masses, so to speak. Yes, they have started. Yes, it's because their children probably are not involved. Yes, it's because they have not been given the mandate to begin to recruit from their constituents. Do you think with what has happened, it is okay? Because first of all, we need to establish that there's a suspension.
Yes, there is, and I've told you, because the modality is not yet clear, and that with our rights as people who are given constitutional right for oversight function to do so. Then I want to also create a wrong impression. Please, there are 180 Nigerians. The fact that there are some active dissent does not mean that's the majority. How many text messages have you received? In my constituency, I receive close to 200,000 votes. Are you saying those people that have elected me? I'm not just an individual. Yes. None of the elected people are individual. Have you conducted census among them? Have you saw their opinion? One thing that many people don't realize is this. Some people, because maybe for their own reason or because of lack of understanding of even the workings of government, they just raise issues. I'm speaking Ajibola Bashiru, not as Ajibola Bashiru. I'm speaking as an elected, among that word, elected of a people. And those people, I'm accountable to them too. They are going to ask me questions when I get back to my country. So for some individuals who are just ordinary individual. They don't even have responsibility to account to anybody to now be the one to dictate. What we are saying is this: you said constituents are to be employed. The people that elected us, are they not Nigerians? The people that gave us the mandate to sit on lawmaking for good governance, on oversight function, are they not Nigerians? So when you talk, maybe because, and I will tell you something from historical development of our government in Nigeria, there appear to be lack of knowledge about even the workings of the National Assembly and legislative arm, because the legislative arm appear to be the least developed of the three arms of government. And I will take you back to memory lane. Between 1960 and 1966, there was a legislative arm, the parliament. And of course, we are doing parliamentary system of government. But when the military struck January 15, 1966, until 1979, there was no legislative arm. You only have executive and judiciary. Of course, there is a loss of knowledge, loss of experience, and loss of exposure to the work and the relevance of legislators. Then in December 31, 1983, when another military junta struck, from that time, relatively, except for very short interregnum of less than 2 years, there was no legislative arm in the country until 1999. So the longest legislative experience that we have is from 1990 now. So when people are already used to a government that only operates by the executive, you cannot appreciate the essence of legislative. And I will tell you the essence of legislative. If you go to read history of democracy in the world, it is the legislator that is the representative of the people. The government emanates, that's executive, emanates from the legislator. But because of that loss of opportunity of development of our democracy, of our legislative arm, because of the seemingly developing nature, people don't understand. The work of a legislator is the most significant, if not the most important, of all the works in the legislative process, because it means that you have broad representation. Whereas, Mr. President, given executive power under Section 5 of the Constitution, represent is the country in the executive arm. Legislative arm has 109 plus 360 people elected from different constituencies to represent geographical expression, diversity of our country, and so on and so forth. So when you are talking about an assemblage of legislative arm, you are talking of the genuine representative of the people. So if people who are elected are speaking on behalf of the people, then people who are just ordinary individual stating an opinion, you cannot equate them in terms of the weight and the authority upon which they are speaking. Okay, so I think that is very important for us to begin to understand the political sociology of our country. Who says that today the suspension could not be lifted when necessary explanation have been given? I think you are with respect, it's like you are seeing suspension as cancellation. If suspension can even be 10 minutes, and as you said, I was coming reading now, the Right Honourable Speaker Gbajabiamila said that within 24 hours the matter will be resolved, unless people are so pessimistic and want the suspension to be outright cancellation. We have not said and the suspension is contingent upon explanation of the modality. So once the modality is explained, possibly today, possibly tomorrow, possibly on Monday, then the process will go ahead. So there is no basis to have that pessimistic perspective of saying suspension means the project will not go. We are interested in getting our constituents to benefit, and we want them to benefit in an act of transparency, and that no person will want to unnecessarily corrupt the perspective of the Mr. President and perspective, because there are already in situation, I don't want to go into that one, that some people already want to use it as an instrument of politics ahead of 2023. So we want to be sure that it is a transparent process.
Don't forget, the topic of discussion is still the 774,000 recruitment exercise, implications of its suspension by the National Assembly. Don't forget, we still have in the building distinguished Senator Bashir Ajibola, Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Senator, sir, let me come in here again. Looking at the situation of unemployment in a great country, Nigeria, leading to crime and criminality in various areas, don't you think this approach, if it is speedily employed, can also reduce this crime to the barest minimum?
I will agree with you that employment would really work in resolving issue of crime. But the truth is this: even the effort at 774,000 we respect is too small, too little to tackle the challenge of unemployment in Nigeria.
But half bread is better than.
I'm not. I told you the Senate, the National Assembly were part of the process of initiating it, and I've told you, you don't have to be pessimistic, unless you have a perspective that the suspension will even last for a week. But beyond that, what I'm saying is that we need now, issue of unemployment has been raised. As responsible representatives of the people, we must be able to let even the public know that we need to do more both as a government and as a people in tackling the problem of unemployment. First and foremost, and that is why the National Assembly is taking it serious, the issue of power, generation, distribution, transfer is very important. You cannot develop, you cannot tackle the problem of unemployment without engaging in productive activity. If there's no productive activity, you cannot talk of reducing employment. 774,000 in a country of 180 million with a reported unemployment rate of almost about 40 million people. Yes, good effort, but what would you need to do in terms of tackling unemployment? One, we need to go back to serious mechanized agriculture. Secondly, we need to relook into our educational system. Our people are only being educated to serve as clerical staff, not to engage in productive activity. So we need to go and look back to our university education, our technical education, and our polytechnic education. Are we training our people to be economically productive in our society? Then thirdly too, must you get paid employment for you to be part of the productive activity? We need to go into those things that we need, and I'll give you examples. Tiling, for instance, how many Nigerians are into tiling? And billions of naira are budgeted for tiling, even for public works in the country. In terms of even production of textile, how many Nigerians are involved in that process? So what I would say is that as a government, we need to do more in re-engineering our economy to the path of productivity, and that is the only way we can tackle the problem of unemployment. Yes, public work is good, but to what extent can even those engaged in public work be able to totally take themselves, take their family out of poverty? So those are the challenges we need to face, rather than engaging in bickering over what is just I will regard with respect an attempt to tackle a very humongous problem. Unemployment cannot be tackled by this kind of a job, and I say it with all sense of responsibility. It is by us, and what I mean us, the executive and legislature and stakeholder, going to see that we have productive engagement of our people beyond what we can do by giving state resources to individuals. And I would say that the conception of the program for now is temporary, not permanent. But in order to tackle unemployment, as I said, we need to go back to the path of productivity. I don't have any illusion at all that this will solve the unemployment problem that we have in Nigeria. Will be solved. Then secondly too, on the issue of slots, I'm not aware. I've been a senator for a little more than a year now. I've not been given any employment slots, so I don't know where they talk about employment slots being given to legislators. Okay. But what we are saying, because you need to clear, because somebody, you see, people are easy to just make wide allegations. But personally, if I'm asked, should senators be given employment slots, I will say yes. And I will say yes because we are also under pressure. Go to my constituency office in Osogbo, in Ikirun, in the library, where people are coming to come and say, support us with unemployment. But the fact that we are not given is not the issue about it, because there is always the element of blackmail that maybe we want to share employment. The other day too, even Premium Times called me. They didn't publish my response, saying that some senators printed some form. I don't know whether you read it, which is a lie. So you see, people just come and just cook up and be to do so. If you say that employment slots have been given, what is the nature of the employment? Which agency has issued those employment, and what is the quantum of employment slots that have been given to status? But what we are saying is that the modality must be sufficiently inclusive, must be sufficiently transparent, that we can be able to report back to our constituents that they have been well represented in setting the parameter for such. So I believe that is the issue, not the issue of whether slot should be given and slot should not be given.
Okay, let me come in here, distinguished senator. Is there any tangible ground for the committee to question the Minister for State Labour and Employment over the modality used for appointing 20-member Special Public Works Section Committee?
There are. I've told you. The fund that will be spent on that program is appropriated by the National Assembly. It's not anybody's private fund. And the job of the National Assembly is to appropriate fund and also ensure the way it is used. The mode of recruitment, the mode of selection, they go to the utility of a fund that have been given to them. So for somebody to say that you cannot, the issues cannot be raised about that, does not constitute the fact that there's separation of power. There's also checks and balances. So the exercise of the asking such questions go to the issue of checks and balances. And I'll give you an example. The NNPC, for instance, I'm a member of the petroleum upstream. They say that the production cost for a barrel of crude was $28 per barrel. You will know that our budget is predicated on $28 per barrel. We call them, can't we look at how this cost of $28 per barrel can be brought down? And we eventually agreed to $20.8. Saving is making a saving of $7.2 on each barrel of petroleum. So that is the way executive and legislative work, particularly when majority of the executive and majority of the National Assembly become to the same local government. But some people come with an attitude and an air of conflict. Our National Assembly is about getting results for our country, and we have done so many of these things at committee level. Will you say that the fact that the Petroleum Upstream Committee was able to get the NNPC to bring down the cost of production of crude from $28 to $20.8 will you say that it is the legislator that benefit directly from it? Will you say that we have collected kickback or collected allocation? We are working for the progress of our society. And several other intervention that the National Assembly had made at committee level, at the level of judiciary, at the level of power. For instance, the Committee on Power was the one that engaged with all stakeholders, including the leadership, to ensure that the tariff is suspended because of the hardship we perceive will happen to Nigeria. Will you say that is an unusual mode of a given directive? We are elected to ensure that we support the executive by necessary legislation and necessary, even advice on policy to ensure it for the betterment of our country. So I find it strange that if there's nothing to hide, you should be able to open up.